So I'm going to talk about shipping container garage or shipping container shop. So when you put them together, you weld them together. So this is a weld. I was able to go up this side and then in the center. And then inside the gap here is the spray foam. And it goes all the way up. Weld the tops together on all four corners. And this is a 20-footer that attaches to a 40-footer. So it's welded around the side over here because it doesn't touch. But then it's welded up at the top on that knuckle, that 2x2 steel. And then it goes along the inside. We're inside the container, but you could just as well be up on top. So you're gonna have a gap where you put them together. So this is welded. This is lazy, okay? That's all it is. This whole seam's been welded on the floor, and then the same thing up on the top. On some of them, like this first one, there was a gap. So I welded it across, and then I put some plate across it to try to keep the floor level. Because the floor depth differences, I had to add plywood to raise them up. This 40-footer came with pretty much a flat floor. There's no need to add any plywood to try to get it any more level. So the whole thing's been welded. These are my shop mats. And then the same thing on the inside. You seal the gap with the spray foam. So now we're looking up. That's been sealed with spray foam all the way across. And then I added this panel insulation in here to reduce the heat. That's the one thing about it is, you know, you're dealing with steel, so it gets hot. Sun heats it up. The panel insulation makes a difference, big difference. I cut that in. That's a PTAC unit. That's my AC. It works. The problem is it can't keep up with all of the heat. So as you can tell, I have a problem with motorcycles. There's another motorcycle back there on the right. So this would be like inside a standard 20-foot container. So I got 20 foot on the other side behind me. It's the workshop. And this eventually turned into storage for all of my kids' crap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another container, an expansion, so to speak. That's going to be coming up in some new videos once I get that delivered. I don't know if I'm going to add it to what I call the back or the front under the carport. If I add it to the front under the carport, then I can move the carport out and have a 16-foot wide space that ties into this space. Of course, you know, this stuff's going to have to be moved. I don't mind. Wiring it is pretty easy when you're doing inside the container. So I just use an armored cable. I welded up some rebar up there at an angle, and you can just slide it through. And then when you're coming across, you just get those little tabs and tack weld them in. Tack weld your box to the top and keep your cables running all the way across to all the lights. Air hose is the same thing. Punch a hole, just tack weld one piece on there and slip your hose in for all of your air lines. So this is a standard double garage door. I removed it from a double garage and brought it up here and installed it. So you have room to install the garage door, but there's not going to be any room to install a garage door opener without it getting in your space. It's kind of tight up there, but they make a side jack lift. That is what I'm going to get and mount it to have an automatic garage door opener. So the garage door runners come all the way back. You just weld them in place, bolt them up, then you're running. So I took down this insulation when I was installing the garage door because I thought it was going to be that tight, but it's not. So I went and got some new insulation. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today, is installing insulation over there and back there, filling in some of these gaps to keep the heat out. And I'm actually going to put some panels inside the garage door because I get a little heat generated off of that. Stay tuned. Like I said, I'm getting another container. I don't know exactly where I'm going to stick it. It could go right here. So this would all be open. Or it could go on the back side. And then I would have this 8-foot gap that would quickly open up into a 16-foot gap. So the back would be the easiest because there's nothing back there. I wouldn't have to remove a carport. So if we came through, we would have a gap this big, and then it would open up into a gap this big on the back side. So that'll give me more storage. I can move some of the benches back there and have more room available up here to work on things. I got a 46 Chevy project truck coming in next weekend to get started on. So I'd like to have some more space. I can move the blasting cabinet and the wash table, and I can move these shelves to the back. I'm going to keep my welding table up there because I've already got it wired for 220 and everything else. In theory, I could open those doors. That's why I left them. I open these doors to move stuff. My kids open those doors to put their stuff in here when I'm not looking. I just show up and come inside and I find new kid stuff in there. But today is going to be adding more insulation. So I'll run some video on adding the insulation. It's not hard. It's just different because you're not working with wood. So one of the advantages of having a shipping container garage is these hooks are on the bottom too. So you can hook a strap to them, and then you can use the strap to pull the truck off the trailer without having to move the truck. Just drive it right out from underneath it. This is the 41 Chevy project. You'll have to tune into the other side to see the rest of this.